All right, now we're going. Um, Glad to see both of you here. I want to cover a couple of things, just kind of housekeeping stuff before I launch it into the course. So those who come in a little bit late, that's okay. And I want to go over to the announcements and just remind everybody that you're going to see three things there. You're going to see my schedule. You're going to see an invitation to a screencast, or you will see a video of a screencast that I've already of a class I've already done. So those are the three. Now, I want to go down to my schedule for this week for just a minute and highlight something. So I'm going to click that open, and you can do it in your set for you, or you can sit and watch this. Now, one of the things that I'm going to really encourage folks to do, encourage all of you to do, is to try out a couple of these virtual office hours. I have those set up so that when I'm remote, okay, I can, when I'm working remote, I can go ahead and be available to you to answer questions, help you, or etc. And it's basically, there's an invitation. So if you want to come in during those office hours and I have them up, I can do everything that I can do in Shawnee, with the exception of sign something. So there's nothing really lost. If you have a question or whatever, I can try to help you. Now I do record the office hours, but I don't post them. And the students who come in, I encourage them to use the chat function so that your question is visible to me, but it's not going to be visible to everybody else, okay? Or it shouldn't be. So all that being said, I think it ends up being invisible when I make the recording. But to make a long story short, those virtual office hours are there for you. I also, if you want to set up a virtual office hour or a meeting in the evening, I've got those evenings indicated. You'll need to contact me, and then I'll set it up and then send you the link. And so I am accessible to you quite a bit. And of course, the easiest way to reach me is email. But I don't. When I'm there in Shawnee, and I'll give you an example. I was there Monday. I was there for management science, and I was there for my office hours are 12:15 to 4:30, so it's 4 hours. Today I'll have 2 hours of virtual office hours. I'll be here for 2 hours. That's 6 hours. 8 hours on. I'll be there. I'll be here, Oklahoma City, Wednesday for 2 hours. 4 hours. So now we're talking 10 hours. Thursday is another 2 hours. So I'm at 10 or 12 hours a week in terms of ground-based or virtual office hours. So if you really need to get a hold of me, you can email me or you can stop by one of those. I'm encouraging everybody to stop by just to see what it's like. No big deal. I'm over with the OB website. I have a little sign that tells you if I don't answer immediately, just wait, because there'll be a chime that will sound, and then if you have a question or a problem, I can try to solve it and answer it from there, and save you trying to hunt me down and try to find special times. And like I said, of course, I've got these times in the evening set aside. If you really needed to get a hold of me and talk to me about something, I'm happy to do that, okay? I also want to encourage everybody about attendance at the ground-based sessions. One of the ways that I got admin to agree to let us try this model was that if I would emphasize to you that the ground-based portion is ground-based and you should be there, and if you're not there, then you need to have a really good reason not to be there, okay? Because it is a regular class session, just like this is now. I know there are going to be people who can't make it on a particular Tuesday because something has come up, whatever. and they have till noon the next day to see the video, so they've attended. But if people just make Tuesday a free, that this time on Tuesdays a free time, that's really not what that we intended to do with this model. We're just trying to make it more convenient for you, easier for you. We're trying to work it out. So someday if we have, let's say I was incapacitated and I could only work from here, or we had an adjunct that would want to teach the class, you could only come down to Shawnee once or whatever. We've got the flexibility, but that ground-based session is a real class session, just like this is. I'm a little more lenient on the virtual than I am on the other, but so you ought to be there. So spread the word with people that the Thursday session is the ground-based, and you really need to be there. Okay, enough of that business. Now, I also want to take just a little bit of time, and I'm glad to see all of you here from, hopefully we'll have some other people join us, about submitting work. I had some people who had some problems. Some of this was due to the fact that they were maybe trying to use Office 360, which I don't know if it's still up yet or not. As of yesterday, the VMware in the lab was not working. So hopefully it will be back up and running at some point in time, hopefully by Thursday. So you'll want to be on alert for that, and hopefully they'll get the 360 up and running too, the Office 360, so you can have access to those apps, even if you're remote. That being said, the most important piece of this is we're going to have some technical things come up. We're going to have some problems arise, and when we do, we just kind of have to punt. Yesterday, the internet was down all at business, and I had to spend some time trying to find out how. And finally, I got one of the administrative assistants who told me they sent an email out and said if you go to Outlook.com, you can get in. And Outlook.com and then signing in with your OBU will get you to the email. The email that we got from Help Desk, which everybody did, was links to Banner, etc. So those are there. But hopefully you just went in through OBU today and got that accomplished. The other thing is the submission of assignments in terms of how to do it. And it's a little bit tricky. When you go in and you go to, I think I showed you guys this. I showed I think we did this Thursday maybe. When you go, or talked about it, or I may have answered email, but let me just make it clear. When you go to upload an assignment, let's take a look, for example, at week 2, okay? And it says upload XLS3 here, okay? You click on the link, and you'll see a little green bar in the right-hand side that says submit assignment. Click that, and then scroll down, and you'll see where you upload your file and if you want to put comments, okay? But you have to scroll down to the bottom. Now, this is a little bit different look than I saw last semester, and it even fooled me until I was just curious, well, what's down here? And I found it, okay? So the bottom line is, you're going to have to do that. Let me show you in instructor. I'm going to go from, I'm going to go to the student view here. And I'll show what I'm talking about. And this says upload XLS3 here. Okay, I'm going to click this file, click the link. And notice I'll get this thing that here's, upload XLS3 here, do the points, submitting a text entry box or a file load. The text entry box is really where you put some notes or comments for me, okay? And then you upload a file. And so, okay, there's no content. So I'm going to click submit assignment. And this really it's confusing because you think, now what? And it caught me. This part is distanced out from the other more than it was when we first adopted Canvas. So it kind of threw me, okay? And you can then you click on submit the assignment, text entry. Now the Office 365, when you click that, that assumes that you've got a shared, or either a shared document or one of your documents that you've uploaded, okay? And then you submit the file. Well, it's a little confusing. I gotta tell you, when I looked at it first couple of times, I thought, what? I don't get this. So they've tinkered with it some, and away we go. So I'm gonna leave, hopefully, and go back here to the is it gonna make okay, and okay, it's got me stuck here. Now let's see what I did this. This has been one of those weeks. Okay. Okay, well, let's see if you're still there and seeing this. Let me do this. Yeah, we got a question here. Yeah, that's what I'm fixing to do. I'm going to go back over to the learning portal. Well, great. It's going to let me do. Just kind of froze up on me there. Let me go to Control Alternate Delete. I'm going to see what I can do. Yeah, I'm getting someone who's giving me a suggestion. Press the leave button. Okay. I don't have a leave button. I have a leave student view over here, so that's not working. Great. This whole thing is froze up. Okay. Control Alternate Delete. This has not been my week with technology. And let's go to the Task Manager. All right, someone's giving me a blue leave button in pop-up. Okay. Okay, I'm looking for that, but I'm not seeing that. Here it is, the leave site. It was hidden from that. Leave. Got it. Thank you. I'm sorry. I have what you don't see this, but I've got maybe you do. I've got a recording bar here to manage the Zoom. So thank you. That was bizarre. All right, thank you so much. Okay, now we're back to, that's why I didn't see the bar base going, what? I know you don't see this stuff here, the mute in the video and all that participants, that is hidden from you, I'm pretty sure. So let me go back to the modules now. All right, and we're back in business. Now, let's take a look at this week and what we've got going on. I kind of ran through, and this week, I've been working ahead, and we did Guardian Roofing payroll. All right. If you wanted to, you could also upload this file, and this is that one, the if statement, and this is from the case file. I think that's from this showed using percentage changes using if statements, and this is over. I think you'll find it over there in Figure 12.1. When you go to the resource list that I've got, you'll see where that one is at. So you could either upload this or the Guardian payroll. Okay, let's go back down here to the modules now. That was strange. And we're going to work ahead a little bit because we're going to go down to week 3. Okay? And this deals with XLS4. Okay? Take some time here to talk about it. There are 2 files you can upload for XLS4. There's this key, and we'll talk about it in a minute. And then I have an old case that really exemplifies what we're going to try to do. You say, well, what are we trying to do? So let me diminish my desktop. Now you'll find the Excel case, the cases, what those resources. Let me find my file and open it up here. The resources for the Microsoft cases. There they are. Okay. And as you look down, I'll scroll back over here to case 4. This is formulas, use of the name manager, call referencing, cell referencing, and financial ratios. And there's the Dabney Financial Services case. It's over there in the welcome module. And then the Proforma temp, and that's over in chapter 12. Okay. So we're going to do some work with proformas, cell referencing, using them to make some decisions, okay? So you can use either one of those files. Now, I've got this downloaded on my machine. You'll have to go into the files section to see these resources and have them there. So I'm going to close this off, and I go back up into 4. Now, I'm going to click on the files section. I'm going to go to the files section, excuse me, and I'm going to find Dabney Financial. Misspelled. Okay, and this is the case, and I'm going to open it up. I'm going to download it. Excuse me. All righty. And I'm going to open this up. And you'll want to save it to your desktop and all that rigmarole so you can upload it back for your credit if you choose to use this one. Or you can use the one that says it's the key for XLS4. They're both very similar because we're working with some tasks here. One of them is building and devising proformas. The other is using the name manager. And so this is a proforma, okay, where 2 companies in this case it's CVS and Walgreens, and we're using financial ratios to compare their performance and to make a recommendation on which of these we should buy. Now, that being said, we click on the formulas, and we'll go to the name manager, and you'll see that in this workbook I have all of these different data points defined, and these are all in that proforma. Okay, so I'm going to close that off. Now, let me go back here, and before I go any further, I had somebody in the last section who asked me how to use this. So let me show you how this works. I'm going to click here in cell D18, okay? And I'm going to click define name. And I'm going to name that car value. All right, now click OK. And then I'm going to put in this figure, 10,000. Okay. Now, Excel will give you 2 cues that you're in a cell that has a predefined variable name. Okay. And if you look right here, you'll see the name box. In fact, let me turn on the annotation. And I'll use the spotlight. Okay. And it's this one over here, car value. Now, if I go into the name manager, I click on there, and you'll see car value. There's the name of that variable. There's the value, and it refers to Dabney. That's the name of this workbook. D18. You say, is it possible if I wanted to, if I had a workbook that had recurring work in it, quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four, that I could define a particular cell or set of cells as certain things? Yes. So we just get you started on using this. When I teach the IT course in the MBA program, we have a very, very detailed workbook that we put together, and we use the name manager to do that cell referencing. So I'll close this off. Now, I know that I have, this is the car value, and I'm just going to put in a figure here, okay, of 6,500. Okay. Now I can use that defined name in an equation. So I'm going to click using formula, and there's car value, and then I'll put minus, and I'll click here, and voila. Okay. This is as you're going to see in this sheet, using the name manager takes some time, but it's worth it because it lets you look at variables, and you'll see that. Now I'm going to walk us through here this issue over here, and we'll walk through this pro forma. Now the word pro forma, P-R-O space F-O-R-M-A, is a Latin word meaning for the sake of. It's a management tool. In the field of finance, we use pro formas to try to take data, accounting data, and make sense of it, or make forecasts. Accountants follow generally accepted accounting principles to classify and handle economic transactions of any kind of sort. We try to use the pro forma as a tool. And for example, we want to compare CVS and Walgreens. Which one should we buy? Well, we're going to start with the income statement, and you can see that it's comprised of the net revenues, cost of sales, and there's the gross profit, and then any other income. In this case, CVS lost some money. Other income, neither. Yeah, Walgreens has some other income. And then we're down here to net interest, and CVS lost some money. Maybe they borrowed some money, had to pay interest on it. They didn't invest in any stocks or securities or anything like that and make a profit. Then you have the gross income. Now we're down to the expenses, and we subtract the selling and store operating costs for each firm. We have nothing in terms of any of these others, and that gives us our total expenses. Now we have the interest income before tax. I'll click on those two. Okay. And it's B20. And then we take the tax. This is income before tax. And we take the tax, which is, to me, it looks like this is a loss from discontinued. Your income tax expense up here, I'm sorry, it looks like it's in parentheses, so it's shown as negative. Okay, and I think it's a 40% or 35% rate that they're charged there. Look and see if there's we've just got a figure there. And then we've got their income tax expense for Walgreens. Then any losses from discontinued operations, we have the net income. Now, in that income statement, we also put it into perspective as far as the owners, okay, as far as share price, right? Everything starts with a sale. And as you're going to see as we work through this pro forma, not only about building a portfolio, how it's put together. Notice that we had current assets and then long-term assets. We're going to current income, long-term income. We're going to come down into the balance sheet. Let's be current assets, long-term assets. We're going to try to put our earnings per share into some kind of perspective. Now, this is figures, I think, from back in 2008, but the pro forma is timeless, as is the calculations for the ratios. We're using these ratios. And so CVS has 1,400 shares, and it's 14, these are thousands. So they have 1.4 million shares outstanding, and the earnings per share is $2. You say, well, how in the world did you get that? Well, okay, we'll click on that cell and we'll see it's B33 divided by B35. And so it's the number of shares outstanding, okay, divided by, it's the net income divided by the number of shares outstanding. And then we see the average shares here for Walgreens, and same thing, and we see their earnings per share. We want to know, if I've bought this stock, is it generating earnings sufficient that I'm going to get paid or a dividend, or if the company is doing well, other people will buy it and the price of the stock will go up, or both. That's what you hope for, is both. Okay. Then we have the price per share. Okay. So that gives us something to look at. And interestingly, we see there's Walgreens is $8 some odd higher. And you say, well, wait a minute, they don't have as much sales, et cetera. But I think we're going to see when we use the ratios, we apply the ratios to them, things will look different. Then we hear they have the current assets, have cash and equivalents, any short-term investments, any net receivables, deferred taxes, inventory. So we haven't come up with the total current assets. Notice on the formatting here, this leads the reader from balance sheets to the assets, to current assets, down to total. And notice these are bolded, so we're guiding the end user or the reader as they come down. We're using the bold format on these to do that. And then we come down to the liabilities. Okay? And as we come down, we get the total current liabilities, and then we have the long-term liabilities, which is long-term debt, deferred income taxes, other non-current liabilities. And we get the total non-current liabilities, and then we get the total liabilities. And the total liabilities is going to be, they've got this over here, it's the total liabilities, it's going to be B62, which is the total current liabilities, plus B66, the total non-current liabilities. This really should be called total long-term liabilities, but people like to use different terminology, so they call it total non-current liabilities. That gives us the total liabilities. Then we have the shareholders' equity. This is what people paid in to buy, the shareholders of different ilk and different types. People who are common stockholders, people who have common stock that has a different kind of deal attached to it. And away we go. Then we finally end up with the total liabilities and shareholders' equity for each firm. Now we've put together the pro forma, and we've used those elements in terms of how the firm sits in terms of its operations, its sales and expenses. Then we have this balance sheet, which is a one-time snapshot that says, what do we have in terms of assets, and what do we have in terms of liability, and what do we have in terms of owner's equity? Okay. And the shareholders' equity, you can see that we've got that in here. That's what the shareholders have put in. So we want to compare these two firms. That's where we use the accounting ratios. And again, we're going to use the name manager and some other devices, visual, graphic device, visual design aspects to tell the story. Okay. And we want to compare these two firms. And so we're going to compare them on the basis of these different ratios. And that's not ratio, it should be ratio. Okay. Oh, mercy. That's the improvement. So we got the ratio, CVS, and then we've got the current ratio for CVS and Walgreens. The current ratio is how much cash do I have on hand plus any inventory. And let's look at it. And you say, how do you know that? Well, it's simple. I use the name manager. I'll go back up here to the current. The current ratio is just simply current assets divided by current liabilities. Now, current assets include cash and what is known as near cash, which would be inventory, or it could also be, say, maybe the company bought a 6-month CD. It's anything that I can liquidate within a year. Anything that takes more than a year, that's going to become it will be a non-current or long-term asset. And as we look at this, all right, we see that Walgreens has a higher current ratios. So they have more scratch on hand, more cash on hand to work with. Even though, interestingly, they have far fewer sales. What we're going to find here is that Walgreens is a more efficient operation than CVS. Then we look at the quick ratio to acid test, and let's see what that one's all about. So we can do that quite easily. I can click on there, and it's the current assets divided by the current asset divided by the current liabilities. Okay, and this quick ratio or the acid test really should be current assets less inventory. You got the current ratio here. Yeah, here it is. Current assets minus current inventory. So we take the inventory out to say, do you have cash on hand, or do you have CDs that you could cash out? You have real money, not inventory that you'll have to try to sell off, for which you won't get the value for which you paid for it. And CVS is the company that has the better ratio. I've got in yellow. Then we come to the total assets utilization. And here's what that's about. Everything starts with a sale. So if I assemble assets to run a company, there's a presumption I'm a going concern. That is, I'm selling stuff. I'm operating. Everything starts with a sale. So we want to say, all right, I've invested these assets, and it generates a certain amount of sales. So how efficiently are these assets utilized? Now, as that ratio goes up, the better you are at utilizing the assets. Okay, and then if we look over here, we see for Walgreens we're at 263. The current asset, we talked about that. It's just current. CVS is better here. and it's current assets minus inventory divided by current liabilities. So we talked about that. Here we have the total assets utilization. Okay, and what this says is Walgreens is doing a much better at utilizing its assets. And you say, well, why would that be? Well, part of this is, I would say, observing these two companies and doing business with each of them. I think that where Walgreens does very well is its drive-in. And they use that plus an auto dialer campaign to get people to fill a prescription and then come pick it up when it's ready. Okay, that's their transaction. So if you do business with Walgreens and if you do business with them, okay, I can walk you through my cycle. I have a prescription. I go over there to refill it. I refill it. All right. They'll send me an email. And then when it's ready, they call my house and say, your thing's ready. And I go over there and I go through the drive-through. CVS is just not as good at that. And so that's probably part of that, of that total assets utilization. Some of it also might be that Walgreens on a per square foot has more inventory. They stuff their stores. They manage the inventory in the stores better. That could be, so there would be some conjecture, but in the terms of the tail of the tape, we're sitting here looking at this going, okay. So let's move on up with this. And we'll look here, we see a debt ratio. Oh, they're equal. Debt ratio, the lower the better. It's your total liabilities divided by your total assets. So as the denominator grows, okay, the better off you are. That is, the more assets you have relative to your liabilities, the better you off you are. Then we have return on assets. Okay, all these assets we've assembled, what kind of net income does it give us? Well, we see what it does for CVS, but then we look at Walgreens and they're higher. Same thing in return on equity. And that's the profits. That's the profits at Walgreens divided by the equity. And then you'll see as we come down here, the profit margin. It's the net income divided by sales. For every sale I make, how much do I make? Well, they're both, for each dollar they sell, they make about 4 cents. They have about a 4% profit margin. Retailing is a tough business, and I can tell you, you would be astounded at the profit margins of retailers, how low they are. This is why they have to have hundreds or thousands of locations to build an economy of scale where such that low percentage then becomes a large enough money to be worth its time and trouble. Okay? And you know, that's just the challenge of being being a retailer. Walgreens, for example, has about 1.5% in terms of their profit margin. But if you do, you know, $10 or $20 billion a year, it becomes real money. But that's why Walmart has such large stores, inventory is so much, so they can, if they can creep up to about a 2% margin, profit margin, they're doing really good. That's why in retailing, on the physical level, scale is the name of the game. Okay? That's all there is to it. That's why you have Best Buys everywhere, Walmart's everywhere. You have to have an economy of scale for it to work well. So we see it as we see these, and now we can make a comparison. Now I've added a visual device. As you can see, I've done the highlighting. And that's fine. Now, in retrospect, I'm going to click on home here. I would probably put a kind of a nice green fill instead of yellow. Yellow looks like caution, and this is going to just look better. So this is a way I could improve this. Would be put in a green fill. You say, well, that sounds stupid. No, people respond to different colors. We've all been trained to respond to red, yellow, green, yellow, red when we drive. So when a person sees a green in a spreadsheet, they say, oh, that's something good or larger. Okay. Now, the chloropeth, which is a map that shows intensity using color, will go in gradations from, say, a red to a yellow. You'll see there, like when they're talking about, ice, rose will be icy, or it'll be an icy mix, or it'll be green. It'll be just simply rain. You'll see the rain will be green. Icy mix, they'll have one color, and then just outright snow or whatever, another color. Same story here. And in this, and by doing this, we've taken the data and we've put them into a pattern that the end user can see. They can make sense of it. And this is just basically saying to us that given these ratios, and given how much Walgreens beats them, Walgreens looks like the better investment. And we've used the ratios to compare the two firms and to put their scale into perspective. Well, that being said, this is Dabney, and you can upload it for one of your files for XLS4. Okay. Now, I'm going to do this. I'm going to close off Dabney. And I'm going to go back to the files and go back to the modules. And we're going to talk about this other key. Now, remember, I'm working ahead. So you say, okay, so Dr. Harmon, you're working on case 4 this week in Excel on Tuesday. Does this mean on Thursday we'll look at case 5? Yes. And I'm working ahead so that you can have these cases in your hip pocket that you've done, etc. So when you take quizzes, when you take exams with a hands-on part, or you get to the finals, you've already worked with this. And remember that resources file, and I'll open it up. It's over there. At the end of each of these modules, I have the resources for the case, Excel cases. And I'll just go back over here. I'll open this up. Okay. And I'm going to scroll up to XLS4. And we've done Dabney Financial Services, and that's over in the Welcome module. Okay. And then we have a file called Proforma Temp, or a Proforma template, and this is from chapter 12, figures 12.6 and 12.7. All right, and that file, you could use it. Now I have a key that I've created, and I'll show you what we're talking about. And again, we're talking about cell referencing, using those tools to help us out. So let's go up here for a moment to XLS4, and you could use Dabney Financial Services, which we just looked at, or you could use this key. I'm going to click on the key, and this is that Proforma, and I'm going to download it. Okay, and let's take a look at it. And we'll enable the editing. and we'll take a look at this. This is a pro forma, okay, and pro forma meaning for the sake of, and we have some assumptions, okay, and we can use it to build, and we have an income statement, and we can use these assumptions about income or operations to create a balance sheet. You say, what are you talking about? Well, let's look for a moment here at the balance, up here. Here's the assumptions area. Now, to improve this, I would put in a title called Assumptions. Brilliant, huh? So I'm going to have my assumptions here. All right. And I'm going to assume that every year sales will grow 2%. Okay. And I've got, and notice this, I've got for year one, at the baseline, year zero, I have sales of 1,000. For year one, I have D30, which is sales, times L29. And L29 is the assumption up here, down over here. I'd move this down here just to make it a little more easy to see. And plus D30. So it's 1,000 times 0.02, which is 20, plus 1,000, which gives me the 1,020. And then with the formatting, I can just carry this on over here. And to do the drag and drop in that cell there, that E30, I'd put D, dollar sign in front of the 30, meaning stay on row 30, times L29. L29 is a pure absolute relatives, pure absolute reference, plus D. So I have a dollar sign in front of the L, dollar sign in front of the 29, plus D30, and I have a dollar sign in 30 for the dollar sign in front of the 30 to indicate I stay on row 30. Got it? Cost of goods sold. I have a ratio for it. Cost of goods sold is equal to 75% of sales. Okay. And there I've done the cost of goods sold. Now I'm just simply using these assumptions to just then make the forecasts. Okay. I've got this forecast for income, for net income out to 4 years. So now let's look at this balance sheet up here. And let's look at this for just a minute. And we're given, we have cash and marketable securities. And let's see if we've got anything that will tell us what those are. Cash and marketable securities. The textbook will have a set of directions for us, okay? And let's look at this. I'm going to start with the current, with the cash, and cash is going to be 15% of sales. So I'm going to put equal, pardon me, escape that out. This will equal sales times this 15%. Now I'll make that an absolute cell reference. and I'll put a $ in front of 30 because I'm working row 30, and I'll click that, and I'll have the cash and marketable securities going across. Now, they've given us the current assets, and so to get that market, let's see if we've got some marketable securities, or they gave us any figures there. And they didn't. Statement cost of goods. Look at this for just a second. You know what? Well, I'm not told that it's going to change, although it makes no sense to me. But we do have the current assets. So let's just do the current assets. They may give us a figure in the textbook. So it's going to equal 150. Okay. No, it's not going to equal that. Back out of this for a minute. Sorry about that. This is going to equal, the current assets will equal current sales. Okay. It's going to equal, current assets will equal this 0.15 times 1,000. I've got a value here. All right. The current assets are 150. We've got 900 for the gross fixed. We want to do the cash marketable securities. We're going to leave them alone. But the current assets, I want to do them out for the remainders of years 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's going to, let me see here. Yes, I can point to you where I found the file. Okay, let's stop and we'll just do that right now. I'll close this off. First of all, what you need to look at, okay, first of all, well, I'll just walk you through the whole process. Click on the files. Well, let's go to the modules first. At the end of each of the modules, okay, you're going to find these following documents. The point distribution for the course. This is after each module. The resources for quizzes and exams. This is after each module. You're going to find resources for Microsoft Excel cases. This is when I have this after each module. And I have the resources for the Microsoft Access cases. Now, it's a good question, but people seem to be confused. Hopefully this will end the confusion. I click on this file, and I can download it, or I can just simply look at it, and it's going to tell me for each case the business problem and spreadsheeting skill that I'm using. Then I have a column called the example file, where I will find this. And it's either going to be in the Canvas Files section, the section file of Canvas, in a module in Canvas, or the supplemental website. Okay, so you'll find it in there. This is case 1. Then you files from the Winston text and the related test material. Now let's come down here to 4. This is what we're doing. We're working on formulas, the use of the name manager, the call referencing, and financial ratios. That's all we're working on. And Dabney Financial Services is in the welcome module. Okay? This pro forma temp file comes from the companion content, that zip file that's there, that has all of the Excel files we're going to be using. There are two companion content files, a number 1 and a number 2. And then in the textbook, I tell you where you'll find this. It's chapter 12, figures 12.6 and 12.7. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go to Files. Now I'm going to stop for a moment, and the person who asked that question, are you with me at this point? Answer me please through the chat. Okay, good. Now, let's go to the Files section and click on that, okay? And I'm going to scroll down through. I could do a quick search, but I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to find the Excel companion files. And here's Excel companion content 1, and it's a zip file, okay? I'm going to download it. I'm going to take a little bit of time to download. It's a zip file. It's got some files in it. And it may take a little bit of time to open up, because I'm over here on a much slower connection. Now, while it's doing that, I've got it downloaded to my desktop. It's still uploaded. Let's see if it'll pop out here in just a second. It may take you some time. So while it's doing that, I'm going to diminish my screen, and I'm going to go here to my desktop, and I'm going to find the companion file for content 1. Here it is. When you get that zip file downloaded, as I mentioned, I tell you the chapter it's in, and it's pro forma temp, and it's in the chapter 12, and it's a template. And there it is. That's the one you would use. And that's what I've uploaded. I already have this file uploaded and renamed in Canvas for you. It's called the XLSX4 key. Okay? But that's where I got the file from, this pro forma. You're welcome. No problem. It was a good question. Now, let's pop up here. And this thing's still downloading. Okay, so I'm going to close it off. And remember now, you could, I have that guide there for you, that the guide to the XLS files, that those resources go back to the module. And I have that after every module, those 4 files. Okay? This is the pro forma. Let's see, this says key. This is that pro forma temp file worked around a little bit. Okay? I also had the Dabney file and got it there. But this one's I took it out of those companion content and used it. So when you download that, you see now the process of where I'm getting them. When in doubt, if I say here's the key for XLS4 or key for XLS5, go into the guide and look, and typically I've taken that file and done a little bit of work with it for you. Okay? That's where we're at. Now, we're going to look at this, and we're going to build the current assets. We're going to start with the current assets let's go back to year 0. Current assets for the company were $150,000. If you look over here, you'll see that the current assets to sales, that ratio is 0.15. So how did I get 150 here? It's simple. I took 1,000 times 1.5. Yeah, 0.15. And that gave me 150. Now, this I can simply do on a drag or drop because I can put equal, and I'll come down to the sales for year 2. Okay, and that'll be times B29. Now I'm going to do a little formatting here for a minute. And this is one of the reasons I would want to use the name manager. And I get that figure. Got a question here. Oh, let me see. Let's check. I'm in the modules, and I see the XLS4 key. Okay, the XLS4 key file is up here in the modules, and it's published. You should see this. It's right at the top of week 3. I already have it loaded there for you. And with the green, with the little green here, you should be seeing it. Okay. Well, it's showing as published, and I'll update it. Now, in the files, we'll go back in the files section. Yes. Okay. Let's look at this for a moment. I'm not sure why you're seeing that. I'm going to go down here to XLS4. All right. And I'm in the files section, and I'm seeing XLS4 key. So I'm not certain why you're not seeing it. Now I'll do this. I'm going to go back to settings, and I'll go to the student view, and I'm going to click on modules. And I'm going to come down here to, now I see the same thing you do. And let's work on, and I see key XLSX4 key. Now I am in the student view. And why you're not seeing it, I don't know. You should be seeing it. And does everybody see this? Yes? No? Because I'm in the student view. I'm not understanding that because I have published it. I'm down in week 3. Okay. Well, let's do this. I'm in the student view, and I don't know why you're not seeing it. XLS4 key. All right. Well, let's do this. Okay. You're not seeing the key for XLS5 either. All right. Let me do something here real quick. And I'm going to start with I'm going to rename this all right. I call that key for XLS4. I'll open it up. Now I've got this opened up on my desktop. How many of you, can you see this? You can see this file, the key, it called key for XLS4. Can you see it? Anybody that can't see it? Okay, so I assume you can all see it. So here's what we're going to do. I'll go back into the files and I'm going to upload the file. Okay. And I'm going to go to my desktop and I'm finding the key for XLS4. And I'm going to upload it. Now, I'm going to come here and I'm going to find it and I'm going to publish it. And I should have key. Here's the key for XLS4 and it says it's published. Now, go into files and see if you can find key for XLS4. Did you find it? Is anybody that doesn't see it? I've got my cursor right on it. I've got it blued out. Is there anybody that doesn't see this over in the files? Okay. So now. All right, let me do this. Well, I've got my cursor right on it. How many of you, I think a couple of you may have an issue of some kind. I'm not sure what, but I've got the key for XLS4. Let's see, and it would be the key for XLS4. I've just uploaded it at 3 o'clock. It's showing as published. How many of you don't see this, where my cursor is sitting here in the files section with this key for XLS4 that I just uploaded at 3:01? How many of you don't see it? I'm not understanding why you're not seeing it. Were you able? Okay, Chase, you're seeing Noah. Same story there. Did you see the Dabney Financial Services? How many of you did not see the Dabney Financial Services? Okay, maybe you need to do that. Maybe some of you should log out and then log back in. I guess I'm not sure why you wouldn't be seeing it, but how many of you found the Dabney Financial Services? How many couldn't see it when I was doing Dabney? Is there anybody? Okay. I'm going to go back to my laptop. Okay. Okay. Well, let's do this. I'm not sure why you're not seeing it. I've got 10 of us in here, 2 or 3 of us that are not, and I'm not certain what's going on with your not seeing it, because it's that key is it's published. So let me do this here for a moment. And I'll find that key there that I created on the desktop. Let's see, I'll go to the modules area. And why there are some of you not seeing it, I'm not sure. If you're working remote and you're using a Mac, you may be having problems. So if you're on a Mac, that could be that's the only explanation I have. I'm not sure why else it wouldn't rend for you. Okay. Okay. All right, I'm back in the module here, and let me try this. I'm going to add a file because this just makes no sense to me, because it's showing up, and it even shows up for me when I'm in your student, when I'm in the I'm going to click on key for XLS4. I'll add the item. And I'm going to scroll down here, and it shows it. Now, let me do a quick test here. How many of you see this file that says key for XLSX4? Let me know if you see it. So nobody sees this. Okay, how many of you see this file, resources for Microsoft Access cases? Is there anybody that doesn't see this? Hello? Right, how about you see the resource for this? All right. Well, we did do Dabney Financials, so if you've got that, you can upload it. Why this isn't rendering for some of you, I don't know. Now, I'm going to assume that there are some of you that see this and some of you that don't, and I don't understand why that would be occurring because the key, because I've uploaded the key. I'll even move it up there. So I'm not getting why you don't have it. I'll just move it up a little bit more. And how many of you see this? It says key XLS5. Is there anybody that doesn't see this? Okay. I don't understand why you're not, because it's showing as it's showing there. And like I said, I can go into the student view. And I'm going to go over here to modules. And I'm going to go down to week 4. Week 3, excuse me. And I see XLS key 4. I see key for XLS. Now this is showing me what you see. So if you're not seeing this, there's 10 of us and 2 or 3. Now, I've got 10 of you here, so let's see. Caden, do you let me know? Do you see that this file XLS4 key? I mean, the key for XLS4. Do you see it? Shoot me an email. I mean, shoot me a message. Do you see it? Chase, do you see it? Caden, do you see it? Let's see. Whoever's on the iPhone, do you see it? Josiah, do you see it? Okay. Let's see. Kessler, do you see it? Because I didn't have these issues with the group before you. Okay. Okay. I don't understand that because I didn't have these groups. I didn't have this problem with the first group of students. Nobody had any problems seeing it. And so I'm not understanding why you're not seeing this. So for XLS4, go ahead and use Dabney. Is there anybody that couldn't see Dabney in the files? So I'm going to do the student view and I'm going to go up to the files section. And I'm going to find Dabney. Dabney works fine. Okay. I don't get that. That's okay. As we go through, you can upload those instead of the other ones. So go ahead and upload the Dabney. I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe it's your machines. It's a rendering issue. I don't know. I didn't have this with the first section. Well, we'll try to take up where we left off on Thursday and go from there. And Thursday is our ground-based day, so we'll see you there. Okay? All right, so I'm going to end it. And thank you for being here. I've got somebody sending me a message. That's okay, no problem. No problem, no problem. I want you to be able to see these so we can see some of the techniques. Now, if I have to, what I will do is I'll go ahead and I have those old files there that you can use to upload. And probably what I'll do is if you can't see them in there, I'll have them on my desktop and let you see them then. And just do the work on the desktop, but not require anybody to turn it in. Okay, folks, thank you so much. Appreciate the kind words. And folks, we'll stop the share and end the meeting, and I'll see you Thursday.